Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to a practitioner of White Tire schools, as well as a 10th Planet West LA disciple. He is the one and only Josh Wolfpack Travaglio. Josh, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
Doing well, dude. It's been a long time, and you're just one of the I feel like gravitating to people in the fight world is kind of cool, right? But you and I, we're taking it back to CFL in the high desert, and you were fighting on that CFL, the California Fight League card, and it was like West LA, and then I think you were even flanked by our both good mutual friend Blair Green, and oh my God, Dennis Wood,
Dennis Wood.
Yes. I just love those. Those are some good brothers there.
Absolutely.
But then you're like 10th Planet West LA, and I was just like, oh, my friend Gabriel Castillo. That was. Here's the thing: when I moved to LA from Georgia at like 9, 10, went to Oak Street School in Inglewood, Gabriel Castillo was my first fucking friend. So all these years later, jiu-jitsu kind of reunites us after this 20.
Circle.
And our kind of tie-in is you, because you train with him. I know him. It's a kind of weird and crazy world, this MMA combat sports deal.
It is. It's like really big, but also really small. It's super weird, like the connections that you make and how a lot of other people know those same people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. And which, I mean, obviously, you met Gabriel Castillo through jiu-jitsu, being his teammate, but I want to know how you come into this kind of combat sports life, because I mean it's kind of cool, the ESPN deals and all of that and whatever, but like to get there there's a whole long and arduous thing where you might not even fucking like it. There's some of the stuff, whether it be the weight cutting, the constant training, the constant achy, but there was a love for it that kind of helps spur you on. So
absolutely.
How did you end up here?
Honestly, I with the aches and pains that you're talking about, we all fight. All of us fighters constantly have that. But I mean, we love the game. We love the sport. Like, I love martial arts. And if I'm being honest, I loved Power Rangers as a kid. And I just wanted to be a Power Ranger. And I watched a UFC fight, literally my first UFC fight, just flipping through channels. It was Spike TV. It was Ryan Bader versus Eric Red Schaefer.
Wow!
And I just happened to, there was takedowns, there was elbows, there was knees, there was kickboxing, and ground and pound submission attempts. And I had no idea what the heck I was watching. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I went out and found a gym. And I've been training since I was about 17 years old, and I'm 28 now. So it's been a long, long journey, and yeah, I love it. So I mean, it's going to be really hard for me to stop doing this,
Yeah, and in some form or fashion, especially with jiu-jitsu and what have you, we're seeing now, whether it be the advancements of technology and health, as well as I don't know, just finding out ways to safely roll, right? Roll to your strengths, not so much to your weaknesses. People are rolling until they're 80s, 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have actually at 10th Planet West LA, there's a man that's, I think, a 3rd-degree black belt, and he's 65, and he's a pretty big dude. He's about 185, but dude is a surgeon at Cedars-Sinai on the side, but literally kills everybody. It's hard to go with him. We call him Dr. Rob. I don't know his real name, but he just kills everybody. And the man's 65 years old. He's a tank, really technical. He has something for everybody. So yeah, no, I mean, you can last a really long time in jiu-jitsu if you do it right.
Dr. Rob, that's all you need to know, really. You know, he's a doctor. He does it, and it's a kind of a paradox where he's a doctor, but he absolutely demolishes everyone.
Yep. When we get hurt, we go see Dr. Rob. So he kind of, I think that's kind of how he makes his business. You know, he hurts people, and then he's like, "Oh, come see me."
Oh man, I think that's the best kind of reciprocal kind of circle of wealth since like
Yep.
when I
Yep.
found out Joe Rogan co-owns On It, which is also the sponsor of the Joe Rogan podcast, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, he's just paying himself is what he's doing.
Yep. Pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, oh, Power Rangers. What incarnations of the Power Rangers did you grow up around and end up loving? Because me, it was like that OG cast of like the original. Then they did like the Time Force and the Robo Summon.
Mighty Morphin.
You got Mighty Morphin too?
Mighty Morphin. Yep.
Who was your favorite Power Ranger?
I think his name was Tommy. I think
Yes,
yeah.
Green /
Yep.
White Ranger.
Yep. Green / White Ranger. That was my favorite one. Absolutely. His
You know,
his Zord, I think it was called, that big old like dinosaur machine.
yeah.
No, that was the coolest thing in the world to me. He summoned it with like a sword flute. Like,
That was the fucking
Yep.
shit. And
Yeah.
it was even cooler because like all of the other Rangers and they had their own individual Zords or whatever. But to be more badass, they all
Yep.
had to jump in fucking Tommy's Zord.
exactly.
He was like the Grandmaster. Even he died. He died as the Green Ranger, and we were all fucking crying like, "Why? Why?" And he was like the late edition or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Still
I
everyone's favorite.
yes, I remember, man, we were living in Indiana, and one of my friends had a satellite dish on the East Coast, right? And he would catch like the East Coast feed, and he came out running like an hour before like it actually happened, right? Local time. And he was like, "It's fucking Tommy." And we're like, "Tommy's dead. What are you talking about?" So we had to rush back inside to see what the
Yes.
fuck was going on.
Yeah, man. Power Rangers was awesome. Watched it all the time.
Hell yes, hell yes. So I mean, Ryan Bader, Eric Schaefer, right? So that is pretty much like Power Rangers come to life. That like for me, before I liked combat sports, whether it be pro wrestling and later MMA and boxing, it was Mighty Mouse and Popeye and whatever. And then
Oh
I
yeah.
saw like pro wrestling, and I was like, oh shit, that's that. Like the
Yep.
Popeye the Sailor Man, that's like Macho Man Randy Savage and whatever. So I
Exactly.
was just like, oh shit, it's the same thing, right? So it's one thing to love it, right? And to kind of see it kind of practice in real time, in real form, no costumes or whatever, just a person, just being a badass, realistically. At what point do you decide, hey, I'm gonna maybe start training?
Um. So my parents got me into karate when I was in kindergarten. I'll be honest, I didn't really like make the connection. I didn't really love it right away. So I kind of veered away from that. I started playing hockey, and I played hockey for like 10 years. And I was a little scrapper. I was a goalie, and the goalie is protected by all of the players. Like anyone messes with the goalie, and you're gonna get your ass beat. Um, and I would also like try to punch the shit out of people in front of me. Like I was a goalie that you didn't want to stand in front of. I would definitely hit you, try to trip you or something. So I kind of got a little bit of like scrappiness from hockey. And then in middle school and high school, I was a nice kid, but I mean, like, I would be totally fine to fight somebody. If someone like got in my face or talked shit, I would talk shit right back and be totally cool with fighting. And then in high school, I saw the UFC and I was like, oh, fucking, that's what's up. Like, let's do that. So it took kind of a while before I actually started training and like finding a love for like martial arts. Because yeah, I was into hockey. I was into girls in high school. I smoked a lot of weed in high school, so I kind of fucked off with everything. Just got high. But then, yeah, I watched the UFC fight one day. I was probably fucking stoned, and I was like, "That's fucking really cool!" Like, so I started training.
That is the best fucking story. Like that is See, I did all of that without the weed, right?
Yeah,
And
all right.
I did all of that without the weed, and then also like, I didn't really have like. At one point, I thought I was gonna be a professional wrestler because I was
Okay.
like, my dad's African descendant of slaves, and we're like, I have aunties that are 6 foot, right? And then
Okay.
my mom is from Fiji, and same deal, like
All right.
Polynesian, Melanesian. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a fucking giant. I'm gonna go over to Japan until I blow my knees out, and then I would settle into a commentary spot somewhere in North America because
All right.
I was big in Japan and whatever. Well, genetics are a motherfucker because 5'9" is all you got, and
Yeah. Hey man, I'm 5'5". I fight at 135. I feel you. I wanted to go pro in hockey, but I'm too short. Like everyone started growing, and I stayed the same height. I couldn't keep up. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
weight classes for the win.
yeah, weight classes for a win. Which I mean, are you a fan of the like that ideology of the weight class every 10 pounds, or like how would Josh Trevillo kind of work it out in terms of championship structure?
So I mean, I don't know. Like yes and no. I kind of wish uh, fighters would kind of come to an agreement of like, hey, what weight do you walk around at? Like, okay, let's kind of meet somewhere in the middle. Like, we know we both can make 135, but like you walk around at like 150, 148. Okay, let's do it there, like something like that. Cause like, yeah, people cutting way too much weight. Like, and that's the thing, like 130, like between 125 and 135, I know 135ers that walk around at like 175.
Yes.
And it's like there's some big ass fools at 175.
Yeah.
The 125ers are all walking around at like 140, 138, like except for Davidson Figueiredo who walks around at 160.
Oh,
Like
right.
like so there aren't two there. It's such a weird like gap. Like 125, they're like the tallest dude in the division is like 5'9" or something like that. Like and everyone else is like 5'4" or 5'3" or something like that. So yeah, no, it's definitely something that I think could be worked out, like a contract, more catch weights,
Yeah.
not necessarily weight classes, but like, oh, this is the fight weight that we agreed to fight at, you know.
No, I like what you're saying, and it's a weird one, right? Because ideologically, right, when you advertise to your audience, your paying audience, this bout is a bantamweight fight at 135, and they weigh in the day before if you're a pro
Yep.
at that weight, hopefully,
Yep.
right? If
Yep.
everything goes right,
Exactly.
but by the time you enter the cage, they're featherweights,
Yep. Absolutely.
right? Maybe
Yep.
even welterweights in some
Right.
instances,
Maybe
right?
even more. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So I'm like, what's the point in having that division? You got guys and girls literally killing themselves for weight that they're not even gonna fucking fight at. So
Exactly. So
like,
yeah, I don't understand why they. I don't know either. I don't know either. It's like because boxing is way different. There's like each champion has like 9 different belts in 9 different weight classes, and it's like 3 pounds different, 2 pounds different.
yeah,
That
it's like a
so
super middleweight, super like cruiserweight. They've got.
yeah,
It's almost like they've got division babies. Like
yes,
like. If you're a welterweight, there's a super welterweight.
yep.
There's a fly welter. It's all weird.
I don't.
But I also think that in the quest of like, MMA, specifically like the UFC, the Fertitas, and Dana White, trying to get legitimacy for the sport because it was a
Absolutely.
glorified cockfighting, and that's the way that they promoted it in the early
Yeah.
days and what have you. Well, they were like, we need regulation, so we're going to borrow from boxing, we're going to borrow from wrestling, which again, synonymous with what? Weight cuts. And it's just something that, I mean, I think what won a championship over in Asia, I think they've got it. They've
Yeah.
got it the best, and
They're doing good.
like, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird time. So, when did you start, like, maybe like, hey, fuck, I'm gonna do this? Like, did you put the weed down? Because I would hate for you to be like, I put the weed down and then I start training, and then like end up in maybe a 10th founded affiliate, and you roll high.
So no, but like right now I'm not smoking weed. I haven't smoked weed for a minute. But no, yeah, of course. When I started training with Scott Einstein Epstein, like, and I found out everyone was high, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, let's do it, you know? So no big deal. I'll be honest, my last, like, I think, I think all of my fights that I've had so far, I've had 4 fights. All of them, I'm pretty sure I took bong rips before my fight. Um, but right now I feel better not smoking weed and training. It is a little different. I'll be honest, I smoked weed for a really long time consistently, so it didn't really like change my performance. I smoked weed when I was on the wrestling team in high school. When I started MMA, not as much as I do like, or not as much as I like did in the recent past, but you know, every once in a while I take a bong rip before class, after class, you know. But definitely starting at 10th Planet, smoking weed all the time before class for like an hour, like going in there just high as hell, not knowing what's going on, but still kicking ass, still learning. Like,
Yeah.
so, I'm in a different spot. I like not smoking weed. You know, I love the culture, but right now not being high is nice.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? As you kind of figure out, as you're going about your career, as you're going about your life, you kind of figure
Exactly.
out what works, what what makes you run optimally, and what have you. And a process of elimination. It's almost like having a food allergy, right? And you have
Yeah.
a food allergy, your fucking face swells up when you eat a certain thing or whatever, and you're like, oh, and you start eliminating shit and whatever, so your face doesn't fucking swell up, and then you're like, oh fuck it, well, let me just live this way. Let's just do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that was pretty much what it was. You know, like I used to kind of get like irritable when I wouldn't smoke weed. Like I used it as like a temper
Yeah,
like thing. But then I just kind of, I want to say I matured a little bit where I was like, oh, I don't need this shit. Like, you know. So yeah, it just kind of. I mean, nothing against it, but right now it's not what I need in my life.
yeah.
So
No, it's good. You know, again, the exploration of self and determining what works. Which you mentioned wrestling, which in my mind's eye, I think is the best if you're gonna start in something, right? Any particular martial art, and to me, wrestling is a martial art, right?
absolutely,
That is the one to do it. That is the one to do because you can teach a wrestler maybe a good combination and whatever, or fucking right hand right down the middle and just train that and whatever, and then takedowns and takedown defense, right? You can teach a wrestler to do jujitsu or catch wrestling and what have you,
absolutely,
right? But in terms of the foundation, there isn't a better. If you start out with nothing, that is the template. Wrestling is it. So,
absolutely.
at what point did you had that deal with karate and you didn't dig, and then the hockey? So when does wrestling appear?
So actually, I started training mixed martial arts before I started wrestling. Uh,
Whoa!
yeah, so I found a gym, R1 Training Center. It was in El Segundo, and the coach there was Rico Chaparelli. Rico Chaparelli is one of the best in the world, one of the best grapplers, and one of the best MMA coaches, best MMA minds I've ever had. Like he's phenomenal, and he was a Division I national champion from Iowa. And I was just kind of talking to him about it, and he's like, "Oh, does your high school have a wrestling team?" And I was like, "Yeah, should I join it?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I only wrestled for 2 years, but I joined the wrestling team, and it definitely, I mean, it helped with everything, like my athleticism, takedown defense, takedown offense, just understanding like how to manipulate the body in order to do the things that you want to do to it. So yeah, wrestling was Rico. Rico told me about wrestling, and I was like, all right, cool. I had no idea what wrestling was either. Like, I thought I was gonna go in there with like some jujitsu grappling that like Rico taught me, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll just triangle everybody. And then I went there, and they're like, no, you can't be on your back. And I was like, oh, like okay. And then I started talking to Rico about it. He's like, no, yeah, wrestling is just about winning. Like, you don't rest and chill and try to find something. It's like, no, you gotta go until the match is over. So yeah,
Yeah, points in wrestling versus points in jiu-jitsu, they're totally different
so
things,
different. So
right?
different. Yeah.
No, and it's funny because I've had like friends over the years. They just to kind of get a new set of eyes on a particular situation will, enter in as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, maybe a no-gi jiu-jitsu practitioner. Some folks from 10 Planet over the years, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a catch wrestling tournament, right?" And then you're like, "Oh fuck, I got pinned because I was fighting off of my back."
Yep. Yep. You lost. You got pinned
Yeah,
instantly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But those are the things, right? Just like you were talking about evolutions of self, but evolutions of the game, which I got to ask. In terms of, Rico's telling you to do wrestling to kind of supplement your kind of overall MMA game, like, what, what did you feel that you ended up gaining um, out of that kind of experience?
I mean, kind of the knowledge of what to expect in a full mixed martial arts fight. Like if I'm going against, like whoever my opponent is, um, understanding that they can take me down, understanding that they can kickbox me, understanding that they don't necessarily have to take me down to submit me or take me down to really like ground and pound me from my guard. It's they can hang on top of me. They can just control me for 3 rounds. Like it. Like there. I mean, we've seen like not talking trash, but I mean Clay Guida in a lot of his fights, like back in the day, he would just take fools down and land like 3 strikes the whole fight and still win because he just wrestle fucked everybody. Like Clay
Yep.
Guida's the GOAT. Well, I mean, like I'm not talking shit at all, but I mean, like I remember I used to train with Mac Danzig, and Mac Danzig told me about him. He's like, yeah, no, I fought Clay Guida like my second fight in the UFC, and he literally didn't hit me. He just held me down for 3 rounds and I lost. And like understanding that concept of MMA like point fighting in boxing, like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather doesn't have to knock anybody out. He can just score points
Hmm.
and win all of the rounds, and he's the best in the world. And I mean George St. Pierre, same thing. Like best in the world, just took people down. Didn't finish everybody. But he could just take you down and hold you down and win the fight, you know? So yeah, understanding that's what I got from Rico telling me to join the wrestling team and actually wrestling, understanding the type of ground fight there can actually be.
No, 1,000%. And I love that you mentioned Guida. Now, UFC Hall of Famer and what have you, but not so much for the totality of his career, just one fight in particular,
Oh
right?
yeah,
But, I
Diego
mean,
Sanchez, we all know.
yes. Oh, Diego Sanchez. Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't even know. Like he went on some stuff with like his trainer. Like I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. Like poor, because respect to Diego, I can't. I have nothing bad to say about Diego.
No,
So
no. Why would we? But you're not you you're trying to tell me, Josh, that like if your significant other goes like, "Hey, we're gonna divorce if you don't stop fighting," and you divorce her, and you're also telling me that you don't hang upside down and have Epstein punch you in the head. Is that what you're telling me?
that is exactly what I'm telling you.
Wow. Damn. Wow. Earth shattering. Good God.
Oh my gosh. No, I would
So,
never. I'm currently engaged right now, and I
yeah.
wouldn't divorce my lady. She's very supportive. That would never be an issue.
See, there you go. I like it. I love it. Again, there, there are things that Diego Sanchez, right? He's at this kind of stage of the game, he might have over you. But there's some. You just mentioned two things that you got over him. So shout out to the soon to be Mrs. Treviglio.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, with this like this newfound MMA deal, and then you get another bit of your superpower. Actually, if you're gonna use a Power Rangers reference, right? Wrestling ended up becoming your Megazord. Really?
Pretty much.
So what do you do after that? Like, like I have the world, whatever. You just start double legging fools on the street, like go to South Bay Galleria and like I'm gonna double leg
Nah,
you the hot
nah,
dog and the stick.
nah. I'm sorry. Is Binks allowed to be in the podcast? This is my cat
Yeah,
Binks.
fuck yeah. Hey,
All right,
Binks.
he's being needy right now. No, like honestly, as soon as I started MMA, I've been in like zero street altercations. MMA practice and training and the MMA competitions, like that's all I need. Like it's calmed me down a significant amount. So no, I did not start double legging anybody like on the street. No, I'm very calm now. Thank goodness.
That's good. Yeah, that's a far departure from the hockey goalie, Josh. Right?
Oh man, he was aggressive. He was mad. He hated everybody. Anyone came near him, he would do whatever he could to fuck you up, like 100%. Now I'm pretty calm. Now I'll fight you in the cage, in a ring, jujitsu mat, wrestling mat, but otherwise on the street, like let's chill. Ain't no
Yeah.
need for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. No, Jesus is a fire. But speaking of firefights, I mean, at what point did you take your first fight?
I started training, or I was training for 4 years, and I like me and Rico just kind of talked. Yeah, 4 years. And he said I was ready to fight. He said I would do fine. And I thought I would do fine too because I trained with a lot of good dudes at the time. Like I said, I was trained with Mac Danzig. I trained with Victor Henry. Victor Henry was one of my first striking coaches. And I started training with him. Yeah, when I started training with him when he was 4-0. Now he's like 20-4 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So he was one of my original like training partners and striking coaches. We had a few different like pros come through, and I felt really good. I was definitely like at R1 Training Center. I was the best fighter there, or like student rather, because I wasn't a fighter yet. And Rico was like, "You should fight. You'll do fine." And so we took a fight at the now I think debunked University of Mixed Martial Arts.
Yes. Oh yeah, dude! I do a podcast with Voodoo Maximus. Of course, I know you have MMA.
All right. I don't know who Voodoo Maximus is. I'm sorry.
Pius Inololobo. I think he was the 155 champ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coolest thing about my U of MMA fight is it was I fought on the same card as Dominic Reyes. It was Dominic Reyes' last amateur fight before he went pro. Was my first MMA fight. And it was, I'll be honest, I didn't like going into that fight, even training with Rico and like training with Mac Danzig, all the pros that I've trained with, I still didn't really understand the magnitude of like, it's an MMA fight. So at like, I'm over there calm. Like I didn't have to cut weight. I fought at 145. I was chilling. And then like the cage door got locked behind me and I was kind of like, oh, like I have to fight this guy right now. Like, like I haven't done that in a while. I've just trained with people and like, we can go hard and stuff, but never had to fight like that. I mean, I did okay. I lost. I lost by decision. No one got hurt. No one really got hit. I went for takedowns. He stuffed all of my takedowns. And I lost by decision. And so it took me a while to get my second fight. But yeah, trained for 4 years. And then I think about 6 years later, I got my second fight.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, I knew I had a lot of stuff to work on before I felt comfortable getting in the cage again. Just because I wasn't ready. Like, I wasn't ready. Like, mentally, like, I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, cool, yeah, I'm going to fight. This is awesome. Get in the cage. Oh, shit, wait, I have to fucking fight? Wait a minute, hold on. Like, so, yeah, it took me 4 years to fight, and then another, like, 6 before I was like, all right, now I'm ready to fucking fuck some people up, like.
Wow. Now, in terms of your fight acumen, man, as a mixed martial artist, like how you had to level up in so many levels in that 4 year sabbatical between the first fight to the second fight.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I trained at. I left R1 Training Center, and I started training at Systems Training Center in Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
And this was at the time when Pedro Munoz was the jiu-jitsu coach, and he was part of their MMA team. Christos Yagos
Yeah.
as well, amongst other pro fighters like Terrion Ware.
Yep.
Terrion Ware called us the alpha male of the South Bay because we were stacked with like 125ers, 135ers, and 145ers. We only had like a couple of 155ers and like I think one 170er. So I had a bunch of dudes. We had an amateur team and a pro team.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bunch of coaches. Clay Guida came through one time, or while I was there, I'm sure he's come through multiple times. Cub Swanson came through. I know Anderson Silva was there.
Mm-hmm.
Fabricio Verdum. A bunch of dudes came through. And so at that point, I was training with a bunch of pro fighters, bunch of successful amateur fighters. Vince the Anomaly. He's another UFC fighter. Yeah, Vince Cachero. He was training there. And so, Albert Morales, training with a bunch of good dudes, women also. And so I was just getting really good work with a bunch of different bodies. So I was able to improve my striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and just overall MMA game with them. Then I had to move kind of far away from them. It wasn't super convenient with the working that I was doing. And so I had to leave them. And then I found myself at 10th Planet, West LA at about, I think, 2017, maybe 2016, something like that. So I've kind of been around a couple of MMA gyms and jiu-jitsu gyms in the South Bay. And it's been pretty cool.
And man, that's like the elite of the week. That's like none of it. That was all killer, no filler. Good God!
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I mean, you're name dropping, but it's just like it's kind of wild, right? Because all right, so Victor Henry is Josh Barnett's right hand person, right?
Yep.
Former deep bantamweight champion, right? Amongst other bantamweight championships he's held throughout the world, right? Again, like you said, System Training Center for that time was like Uriah Faber's Sacramento-based Team Alpha Male, but south, and it was like, and then you go to 10th Planet West LA again. Another, you couldn't have had a better, even with Rico, like you couldn't have had a better introduction and inclusion of MMA.
Absolutely. Yeah, and now I'm still at 10th Planet West LA for my jiu-jitsu, but I also train at White Tiger West LA with Dennis Wood.
Hell yes.
And he's kind of put all of my stuff like together. He's been the one guy that's been able to like see what I'm good at and like the tools that I have and been able to put them to use for me. So like every coach, every training partner, everyone that I've had in my life has really like built me, and Dennis has kind of been able to like fully expose everything that I'm good at. So I've been, blessed with all of my training partners and coaches. Like it's been amazing. So yeah, no, I'm very lucky to have the MMA life that I've had.
Yeah, I think you've had one of the best kind of runs in terms of training.
Absolutely.
Like, that there ever was here in SoCal, which
absolutely,
I mean, wow, Epic Fighting 46, right?
Yes, sir.
Next month, right? We're
coming up.
Yeah. So you're taking all of those experiences into the cage. This is the first time that Epic Fighting, which to me and a lot of people is like this shining star of like San Diego based MMA and California overall, right?
Yeah.
They're one of the premier ones. Now, how's it like to be fighting again? Because again, 2020 was so mad. So I mean, we saw people out of necessity, fighters out of necessity, prematurely turn pro just because
Ex-
and take
exactly.
fights, right? Total eradication of the amateur scene for an entire year, right? So
100%.
so, I mean, how was that kind of sabbatical for you? And then how good is it going to feel to step back into the epic fighting cage and have the roaring lion, Carlos Kremer, who's taking over the world, shout your name out?
So yeah, no, he was great. He's great. But yeah, I'm very excited. 2020 was, I mean, like I told you, I've been training since I was like 17, um, and it's been kind of constant. Like, of course, I've had injuries, and the injuries have stopped me from training, but I've never like personal things have stopped me from training a little bit, but otherwise, I've been constantly training for about 11 years now. So COVID in the sense that like we all had to stop.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I mean, I didn't want to stop. I just started fighting like consistently. I had 3 fights in like the span of like a year and a half or less than a year and a half. So I was trying to ride that wave. But then COVID hit and it kind of forced me to take a break, which kind of a blessing in disguise. Like I got to heal some like nagging injuries and just kind of, chill. I was chilling with my fiance. We as soon as California shut down, she said, "Let's move up to Crescent City with my family." And Crescent City is like the northernmost city in California.
What?
It's beautiful. There's like the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen, and then 3 miles inland is like the redwood forest or something like that. So it's just a beautiful, like there's rivers, there's nature. Like every morning we'd wake up and there would be deer in our front yard. Like we see foxes, like bears would roam through our backyard, and it was the coolest thing. So I mean, I didn't want to stop fighting, but as soon as COVID hit, it was kind of nice because I got to experience some things with my fiance and her family that I would have never gotten to experience, because I would just be training. And like I said, I love training and I love fighting, but sometimes we don't take a break. Sometimes we don't get that. And especially as an amateur fighter trying to come up, like we're not getting paid for our fights or anything like that. So even in between that normal life, we have day jobs. Like I said, I'm going to school right now. So like we don't really get that opportunity to like get either a fat or small paycheck and then kind of chill and figure out what we want. It's like, no, we have to keep going, going, going until we turn pro. So 2020 got me to just chill, take a step back, and just appreciate what I've got, because I didn't know if fighting was gonna like I didn't know when we were gonna get to compete again,
Right.
like pro or amateur. So same thing. We actually thought about going pro for a minute, just because we were like, we want to fight. We do. Like I got a little stir crazy after about 6 months of doing nothing.
Yeah.
So we eventually moved back down to Los Angeles and started training again. Because I literally did nothing for like 6 months. It was fantastic. But I gained a whole bunch of weight. I love training. It's my life. So to not have that for a long period of time did end up being kind of rough. So we came back down here, started training, thought about going pro, but then Epic saved the day a little bit, because I do want that experience of like fighting. I've only had 4 fights, and I'm 2-2. Like I've got very little experience in the actual competition of MMA. Like even though I've been training with so many good dudes, the real experience is the fights, and 4 fights isn't enough. Like I know people that were 5-0 as amateur fighters, and then they go pro and they get knocked out in their first fight, and it's like, oh, like you should have probably experienced that as an amateur. So yeah, Epic kind of saved it, and now I'm ready to put on a great show and lay it all out on the line. Like see where I'm at, see where my opponent's at, and we're gonna want to kick each other's ass because neither of us have fought since I don't know, 2020. Like, I'm not sure when the last time he fought, but yeah, it's been 20, like February of 2020 was my last fight. It's way too long.
Actually, it was because I was there. It was actually the the 11th of January at Sparkstone.
January, yeah,
Yeah,
January, yeah,
which
yeah,
seems like forever
even
ago.
longer. Yeah, it does. It does. Like,
It feels like 5 years.
absolutely. It's been so long. So yeah, we're both definitely itching to get in there, compete, beat each other up. So yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited for it.
Which I mean, having that amazing experience in Crescent City, right? And you kind of, it's cool. It's like to kind of be able to smell the roses a bit, right?
Yes.
And not to say that you love MMA any less or LA any less or any other things that were your staples pre that move. But again, it's just another side of life, right? Like
Absolutely.
Ronda Rousey has been training since she was in diapers and whatever. Now she's got the money to do like the fuck you money and lives on a
Exactly.
farm and whatever, and she just fucking does that. You see
Yeah.
her doing any fucking media or whatever? No, because she's like, fuck it, I'm good. I'm
She's
fucking
done
good.
it. You know?
Yeah. So with that experience, did you and your fiance come back as like a with a new set of eyes and a new set of appreciations for not just like the life that you left in Crescent City, and then I'm again, I guess, leaving LA for Crescent City, and then coming back. Was it, because I lived in Bakersfield for a couple years, and then I remember the
That's where
first
my
time.
fiance's from.
Oh, my wife is from there. See, that's why we get along, Josh.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I remember coming back from like down the 99 and to the 5, and I was just like,
Yep.
because there's cars in Bakersfield and shit, like, but it's different. Like the traffic, I was just like, and I'd grown up here. My wife and I we met
Yep.
here and whatever, but like 4 years in Bakersfield, and of course, like we took little trips down south here to LA to visit family periodically, but like knowing, like, oh fuck, we're going. It can be a little bit like anxiety inducing. Did you experience any of that?
I mean, yes and no. So while we were up there, I mean, it's Crescent City versus LA is so different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's an appreciation for both of them for different reasons. In I think the three cities of Del Norte County, I think it's Crescent City, Smith River, and I'll be honest, I don't know the other one, but out of those three cities, there's 6,000 people that live there. In all of Del Norte County, there's 6,000 people. So, like the traffic, the amount of like stuff that's available to do in Crescent City, there's not a lot. Versus LA, where we both live, you can fucking do everything you
Mm-hmm.
want and walk just down the street from your house, and
Yeah.
you've got everything you need. Both of my gyms are like 10th Planet. I live down the street from 10th Planet. White Tiger is less than 4 miles away from me. Anything in Crescent City to go anywhere, in order to go to a Costco, you had to drive all the way to Medford, Oregon, which is 2 hours away. The only thing we had there was Walmart and Walgreens. And then that's fucking it. Like, so to have nothing like the nature and the beautiful oceans and all of that, like it's great because I'll be honest, the beaches in Crescent City are 1,000 times better than the beaches down here. Like, but the access of what we have here versus there is so vast that it was a little. We did go a little stir crazy up in Crescent City after a while, but then coming back to LA and like we did kind of come back in the mid, like things started opening up by the time we got back to LA, but it wasn't fully open. Now everything's fucking open. We kind of have a little bit of anxiety because it was like we had nobody around us in Crescent City, and
Mm-hmm.
now we have millions of people. So it's just different, like we love everything that LA gives us access to, but Crescent City kind of gives you peace,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's kind of the best of both worlds. Like, or like they're two separate worlds. Going to Crescent City, you can chill. Staying in Los Angeles, it's kind of go, 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 go. And I mean, we're kind of in the middle. You know, we love LA for that, but we also love Crescent City for what it had. So there's a little anxiety going both ways, you know.
Yeah, and but again, giving yourself that, that levity to kind of experience both things at a
Absolutely.
time where fucking everything is weird.
It is
Everything's
beautiful.
still weird.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
never been a time in history where people be like, "Oh, this is the worst," whatever. And yes, whatever, but like there has never been a good time in human history. I think like the minute the first human whatever, it's like, "Oh, shit's fucked up."
Yep.
Like
Exactly.
they discovered fire and then fire, you know?
And now there's fire.
Yeah, there's fire, right? Exactly. I was gonna do a Beavis and Butthead reference, but I don't think it's time for that. Fire! I mean, what? But I think that's cool. But you're telling me that Crescent City, California, doesn't have a burgeoning nightlife? Like they don't have their Korean barbecue place on Yelp?
They don't have
What?
a Korean barbecue place. They have one Chinese restaurant, and then they have one little tiny like Asian supermarket. Like that's all you're gonna get there if you want any like Asian food or anything like that. And I'll be honest, the little Asian market, absolutely adorable. We loved it. That's where we shopped for the most part. We didn't really go to Walmart. We went to the Asian market. They had everything you need. But no, like they had a Burger King, they had a Jack in the Box, they had a Taco Bell, and they had a Little Caesars and the McDonald's, and that was it. Like that was it. Like I think there was like a fish and chips restaurant, but it was in the middle of COVID, so everything that was like a family-owned restaurant was closed. Like, and they didn't have much. You had to go to Eureka, which was about like an hour and a half south, like 120 miles south, or you had to go to Brookings, Oregon, which it was easier to get to Brookings, Oregon, but I mean that's still like 30 miles north, and there's still not much in Brookings. Like it's just completely different than
Yeah.
LA, you know.
Yeah, subtle differences, subtle differences. Which, speaking of subtle differences, I, I have to address your attire, good sir. It's like you've got Bruce Lee on the hat, and then young Bruce Lee on the shirt, his
Oh
passport.
yeah.
So I mean, how big of an influence, especially training with Dennis Wood at White Tiger, right? Like, how big of an influence is Bruce Lee to you?
So I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. Um, I didn't watch a lot of Bruce Lee when I was a kid. I'll be honest.
Really?
I don't
Okay.
know much about Bruce Lee. I'm being honest. This is this is the first time a lot of people are hearing about this, especially because I do love martial arts, but I wasn't big on like martial arts movies when I was a kid. I don't know. I liked comedies. I liked cartoons. I liked dumb shit. I'll be honest. I like dumb shit. I don't love good movies. You know, like I don't like. I mean, it's not that I don't like it, but I mean, like I didn't fuck with iconic shit. You
Yeah.
know, I worked at Super Rare Fight Shop. I think there you go, Super Rare Fight Shop.
Yeah.
That's on Melrose, and they have the Bruce Lee license, and this was some cool ass shit. So I copped it. Um, but I mean, I'll be honest, like that's it. Like a lot of people are gonna hate on me, and I totally get it. I need to watch Bruce Lee's shit. Um, but I mean, I know he's the whole reason MMA exists. Pretty much, you know, he was definitely the first like MMA practitioner. You know, with his Jeet Kune Do, like he was the first one to really mix it up, and especially mix it up like on camera and show the world like what can be done, not just karate. Like when I grew up, karate was the big thing, and like I didn't know anything about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It just started coming up. I was born in '92, and I think that's kind of when Hoist Gracie kind of like started getting big in America. Was when I was born.
Right.
I didn't really know about that. Like I said, Power Rangers, they did like karate and kung fu, like spin kicks and shit. So I was like, all right, that's cool. Um, but yeah, no, I'm not. It's not that I'm not a Bruce Lee fan. I just don't know a lot about him.
No,
Uh,
that's totally fucking fair. No, I remember my dad was a huge fan. Just, I mean, he was alive during the Bruce
okay,
Lee's deal, and I mean, so I appreciate him because obviously I believe is the Enter the Dragon, where the end scene, you'll see the very first kind of, inclination of MMA style
Yeah,
gloves.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Kind of like
there's
hockey gloves a little bit,
yeah, like
you know.
it was like a hybrid between hockey gloves and like the old school Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston bag
Yeah,
gloves.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with the fingers cut out. Like yeah, and that's that, and even the for UFC to exist, right? Like it was, hey, everybody's saying they're a badass and their discipline is like better than everywhere. Let's just put this shit together, and it
Yep.
it was essentially a glorified, infomercial for Gracie Jiu Jitsu and all the fucking,
Yeah, yeah.
Gracie challenges that they were doing at the time. But, you know, the fact that he went to like a judo Gene LaBelle, right here in LA, and judo Gene LaBelle is so historic because the first like MMA fucking fight, him and Milo Savage, who a boxer, that was the first MMA like back in like '54, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then Gene LaBelle's mom, Eileen Eaton, was the promoter for the pre like WWE, WWF. Wrestling was in territories. So the LA territory was owned by Judo Gene's mom. So
Okay.
like people like Superstar Billy Graham and Andre the Giant and
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino, they called Judo Gene LaBelle's mom boss. And when somebody got too big for their britches, and didn't want to give up the title or whatever, they sent fucking Judo Gene LaBelle out. And
There
what
you
would
go.
end up happening is the title would be left in the ring, and that wrestler that didn't want to do business would never be seen again.
Yep.
That's
I
just,
wasn't allowed to watch pro wrestling. My parents said it got me too rambunctious, so I don't know much about that either.
but you went into hockey. That's great.
That's that's what everyone says. They're like, "Why'd they let you play hockey?" I wasn't allowed to play football, and I wasn't allowed to watch WWE or anything like that. But I was allowed to play hockey. Like it's super funny. Like I think about that all the time. The one sport that allows fighting to like occur, they're like, "Yeah, you can do that."
Yeah. Well, again, everybody, when people talk about like I'm a purist or I'm a whatever, everybody has a justification of what they do, right? It's
Yeah.
whether it be, belief systems and political affiliations. We saw that shit this past year, right? Like, and whatever you do, there's a like oh shit, like if you're a jiu-jitsu purist, you have to wear a gi, right? It's
Sure.
like, but you forgot, like Maeda was like a judo slash catch wrestling guy before he came to
Yep.
Brazil and teaching the Gracies. But you know, it's it, yeah. But everybody has a way of justifying, you know, what they do. So
Absolutely.
kudos to your parents because like raised you, and look, you're a badass now. 10 years in the fucking sport, and yeah, man, it's been a hell of a ride thus far.
Absolutely, it has. Like really, like I can't believe I'm still here, but I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere.
No, can't stop, won't stop. Which, speaking of like memories, right? Do you have a particular favorite memory in your entire kind of inclusion of MMA? And it could be a fight, it could be an experience leading up to a fight, maybe some funny shit in the fucking training room, which you don't have to name names, but just
Sure.
funny instances.
Uh, Funny instances. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a funny instance that really sticks out in my mind. The one thing that like sticks with me is the first day that I ever stepped in Rico's training room. I saw him teach technique, and I've never seen anyone do it. Still haven't seen anyone do it. Like Rico Chaparelli was the one person that could do anything. Like, and I've never seen anyone else replicate it. So just watching Rico do, you said don't name names. I'm gonna name names. Rico Chaparelli. Um, he blew me away. Like, if I had any other coach, there's a chance I wouldn't have continued mixed martial arts. You know, Rico really. The first time that I ever saw him do anything, I was just like, oh my God, this is the coolest shit ever. And he did it to everybody. It was almost like Bruce Lee's one inch punch, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Sat that dude down in the chair. That's kind of what Rico did with his technique. Like he showed it on like 5 different bodies. He'd do it to new people. He'd do it to Division 1 national champions. He'd do it to pro kickboxers. Didn't matter. Rico would do it to everybody, and he was the guy that made me go, oh shit, like this is really fucking cool. I want to be like that one day. So yeah, that's probably the like my biggest memory. I have a few things, you know, here and there. I've been in it for a while, but like watching Rico just fucking like ah man, like he's always gonna be in my heart somewhere because of that, you know.
I love it. I love it, and that was your first, so
Yep.
that's so cool. I gotta ask, right? You're a purveyor of dumb shit. You might be talking to a guy who literally ditched school so I could see every showing of the first Jackass movie,
All
and
right.
that yeah. So, what is the your favorite piece of like dumb shit entertainment? Like you could just say like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Dumb shit entertainment. Fuck. Did you ever watch I think it's called Most Extreme Elimination Challenge?
Yes, yes. Kenny
Bro.
Blankenship and the
Yes.
fucking other dude. Hell yes.
Yeah, no, that was probably the one like that. I don't know if you ever watched The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yeah.
Like, there's just some dumb shit that, and I just happened upon it too. Like, just flipping through channels, I see like this, like it's dubbed in English, but it's clearly like some crazy like Japanese or some shit. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, the shit that
So,
they would have them say, like,
yeah,
"I'm Karen from accounting," and
yeah,
like, and then she fucking got thrown off of a
face
fucking
plants. Like,
yes.
oh my god. Yeah, no, that shit. Like that's some fuckery that I'll never forget. Like, and it like any sane person is gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah. Oh no, Spike at that time was the shit, right? Like, because they had Joe Rogan and like the Man Show. Then they had
yeah,
yeah, they had fucking oh shit, they had the Deadliest Warrior. Remember that shit?
I I do, but I don't. Like, I'll be
So
honest,
they
bro, I was like 7 years
seven.
old.
No
Something like
worries. So
that.
that's something you need to fucking go on, put into YouTube and just fucking whatever. They would basically pair off like warriors throughout history. Like what
Yeah.
would Shaka Zulu do against a fucking samurai,
Okay.
Japanese samurai and whatever. And then they would actually like oh, here's the weapons and everything like that, and they would show it. They would basically make a bleeding gelatin fucking human, right? And they would test the shit out, like their weapons up against each other, and then they would simulate with all the fucking data. It was like actual fucking scientists
Okay.
putting everything together and put the data in and who would win. And as they're fucking running the data, then it just goes into like a dramatic recreation
Yeah.
of whatever.
Yeah.
And the actors, somebody's Shaka Zulu, somebody's the fucking samurai, and then you're like whatever. And then at the end, when they showed you who won, and they show you like the data, like out of we put this shit 1,000 times,
Okay.
and this is what
Yeah.
came out. Yeah, dude,
This is the outcome.
that
All right. All right.
and pro wrestling. So like Spike TV back in the day was my shit.
Okay, what I also watched I don't think this was Spike TV. I think this was MTV. Do you remember Celebrity Deathmatch?
Fuck yeah, let's get it on with Mills
Celebrity
Lane.
Deathmatch.
Hell
That was
yes,
pretty good too. And I watched BattleBots, I think it was called.
yes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they have a new one out.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
dude. It,
Everything's way more like deadly now.
yeah,
Like the
it's
technology's probably crazy.
I think it's on like Discovery Science and shit like that. But
Okay.
like, I was like, oh fuck, it's back with the hammer, like the
Yeah.
fucking yeah, dude. It's dope. It's so
All
dope,
right.
man.
I'll
Yeah,
definitely look both those up for sure.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna send you a fucking documentary. You gotta watch because it's.
Perfect.
I mean, talk about
Perfect.
dumb shit. You're gonna yeah, right on. And it's a paradox, right? Because like documentary and dumb shit, but no, this is absolutely it. And Yeah, so you're gonna dig it. Um, Obviously, dude. As you head into Epic 46, there's a lot of fucking people that have ushered you to where you are now, right? So take as long as you like. Let's get some shout outs out of the way.
Shout out to Dennis Wood in White Tiger Kung Fu. Shout out to Scott Einstein Epstein at 10th Planet West LA. Those are really the guys that have been behind me during my like whole journey. I'll be honest, I don't really know where Rico Chaparelli is. Like he's kind of been a ghost like his whole career. Like if you don't know who he is, you probably never will. If you know who he is, like you've known him forever, you know? Um, yeah, shout out to Scott Epstein, shout out to Dennis Wood, shout out to Blair Green, he's there too. Um, but I don't know, man. Like that's all I got really. Like uh, shout out to my training partners, Carlos Morales. He's helped me get ready for this fight. He's also got a fight coming up. Same day, he's fighting for the Cali State title at 125. He's gonna win 100%. His opponent has no chance. Um, so yeah, no, it's gonna be good. Shout outs. I think that's it, man.
Fiance?
A shout out to my fiance, of course, Carmen Cerna. She about to be Carmen Travaglio. We don't have a date yet, but yeah, absolutely. Shout out to my parents. Shout out to mom and dad. Shout out to my sister. Shout out to just all the people that have supported me. Shout out to Dylan at Super Rare. Fuck it. He's giving me these sweet ass shirt, this sweet ass hat. I'm wearing Super Rare shorts. He's one of the best like fight shops in LA. Go check out Super Rare. And shout out Baxter of California. That's where I get my haircut. I haven't been for quite some time, but that's where my fiance works. So if you need to get your hair beautiful, go to Baxter of California in LA. Um, that's it. Shout out Victor Henry, Pedro Munoz. Like they were a big part of my skill. Like my striking is a lot to do with Victor Henry. I have some mean ass jujitsu techniques from Pedro Munoz that Scott Epstein has been able to like really put together for me. So I mean, it's hard. Shout out to all my coaches that I've ever had. Like really, like shout out to everyone that's in my life right now. You know, like I'm sorry I'm forgetting names, but there's been a lot of people. You know.
It's a fucking good life, man. And Formal Foundation over on Twitch says, hey. So, hey, Formal Foundation.
What's up?
Yeah, man. No, and Josh, as you head into Epic 46 at the Sheraton 4 Points in San Diego, California, well, for people that want to see what you're doing, what you're formulating, or to get your promo code for such fight, where can they find you on social media, my man?
So my social media is Wolfpack, the number 10, and then a P, Wolfpack 10P at Instagram. That's the only social media that I have. The promo code is all caps, my last name, Travaglio. You can get $5 off of your tickets. Purchase tickets, y'all. Like, I swear, I'm a very entertaining fighter. I'm going to fuck this kid up. It's going to be, I know he's tough, but there ain't no way he's going to beat me. I'm going to beat him everywhere. So if y'all want to see a good fight or me dominating the fuck out of somebody, like it's only going to go two ways. Good fight, or I beat the fuck out of this kid. Y'all want to see that? I'm about it. I'm not a boring fighter. I don't back away. I don't back down. Yeah, Epic 46 is going to be a really fun night.
Fuck yeah, man. I can't wait. Dude, thank you again for chatting with us and taking the time to do so. And thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I mean, Josh, you're subscribed to the podcast, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Damn right. So be like Josh and subscribe to the podcast. But if you don't believe me, don't believe Josh, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Here's Pro Wrestler Zeta Zhang.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe